Good day. All right, looks like we can position this thing a little bit better. A little less dome, a little more ad. How about that election, huh? Whoo! No comments on any of that. It's not what I do. Thank you for coming and for checking in on what might be the coldest streak I've ever been on in my entire life. More on those details in just a moment. 5 picks for tonight. We got the NFL game to get through. We got a couple college picks to get through. I'll probably have more college picks for this weekend, so that can be discussed as early as today, tomorrow morning on Twitter. So keep an eye. Niners need you back in the Bay. Woo! I feel bad, man. I feel bad. First, I should be 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, chat's working well. I feel bad for everyone up there. To an extent, it's sports after all, and these seasons are going to happen. And I mean, the Niners are getting hit with a run. I can't think of the last time I've seen anything like this. They're still powering through, man. It's not like they've quit, but what a year. Now some of these COVID tests are coming back negative, but because they were in contact with one another, they still have to sit out the game tonight. It's a mess. It's a major mess. Aaron Rodgers over 1.5 TDs. Nice. All right, we'll get into all that. Let's start with this. The recap. 1-4 on Monday. I hit with Wayne Gallman over 14.5 receiving yards. I lost with the under in that game. That was brutal. That paced well the entire way. Mother of all spots. We're talking about that in a bit. The under paced well the entire way. I lost there. Tampa -3 in the first quarter. That was dead. Giants under 16.5 total points. They showed up. And Wayne Gallman over 2.5 receptions. So 1-4, which means the overall is now 65 wins and 74 losses. It was like a week ago. Going into Thursday night, we had a winning record. I went 1-9 on Sunday, 1-4 on Monday, which is 2-13. And then I think I was 0-4 last Thursday. I'm like 2-17 over my last 19 picks in the last week. 2-17. I can't remember the last time that happened. But now we got another hole to dig out of, so it starts tonight. We're going to begin with the Thursday night football game, Niners-Packers. Weather, which is pretty much the only thing we can make sense of when we start to get into this injury report. 70 degrees. At kickoff, 62 degrees towards the end of the game, so nothing to worry about there. No chance of rain or precipitation, according to the reports, and winds 6 to 8 mile an hour. So weather is not going to be a concern for tonight's game, whether it comes to the passing game or anything else. Now, the injuries. How much time you got? This could be the longest stream in history. We're talking about injuries and we're talking about COVID. So let's start with this. For the Niners, Trent Williams at offensive tackle, Kendrick Bourne at wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk at wide receiver, and Deebo Samuel at wide receiver are all out for this game. Now, Samuel was going to miss anyway with a hamstring injury, but they're all out because they're on the COVID list. Apparently, Bourne tested positive, and these were all individuals who were traced to him in some way, shape, or form. I'm not sure if they even have it. I saw someone, I think it was Damon, was talking about how these guys aren't even positive, but there's like a 5-day waiting period. I can't make sense of all the rules. All I know is that those guys are out. In addition, guys that are injured that aren't playing tonight, Jimmy Garoppolo, George Kittle, Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, all out. Richard Sherman still out. Nick Bosa's out for the season. It doesn't end for these guys. Jaquiski Tartt at safety, Richie James at wide receiver are both listed as questionable tonight. You've got a wide receiving unit the Niners are going to trot out tonight, which is just simply incredible. Kevin White, the former top 10 pick of the Bears, he's going to play. They're River Craycraft. I don't even know. These guys are all starting tonight. Use check anytime TD score. McKinnon. Yeah, we'll see about Jerick McKinnon. That was a terrible signing. So that's the Niners. I mean, good luck. On the Green Bay side, A.J. Dillon, the running back, tested positive for COVID, so he's out. Jamal Williams, the other running back, one of the other running backs, and linebacker Kamal Martin were contract traced to Dillon, so they're all out. Kevin King, the corner, won't play. That's an injury. Will Redmond, the safety, won't play. That's an injury. Vernon Scott's out. David Bakhtiari, the best offensive lineman on the roster, he's questionable tonight. Keep an eye on that, as is running back Aaron Jones. Whew. I'm trying to make sense of all this. I can't believe they're still going to play this game. I think Dylan's COVID test came back positive early in the week, and then they shut down the facility, and then they decided they were going to go play this game. Like, I don't know how they do it, but they're doing it. So we have a game tonight. Now we try to figure out what we're going to do from a gambling perspective. On the look-ahead line last week, this game was a pick'em. It was a pick'em. Niners were off a really nice win against the Patriots. The Packers had just lost to Tampa Bay. Short turnaround Thursday night game, listed as a pick'em, and then the Niners went and lost to the Seahawks. Dudes got hurt. COVID broke out. Packers went and Packers had beat Houston. Excuse me. Packers had beat Houston. That was the look ahead. And then the Packers go out and they lose to Minnesota. And this game is now as high as Green Bay -7. Total was as high as 52.5 and has dropped to 48.5, which is where it sits now. Let me just confirm that before we go forward. 7 and 48.5. I see 148 out there. I see 16.5 out there, but 7's common, 48.5 is common. All right, we begin with this. Anyone watching who has followed my work for the last few years, you know about the mother of all spots. Tonight is the mother of all spots. The rest of you are asking, what's the mother of all spots, and how did you come up with that stupid name? Can't answer that, but I can tell you what it refers to. The situation tonight. Hang with me. This is quite detailed, but it has been quite profitable. What we have tonight is a Thursday football game. And I want to focus on the road team. The road team is the Packers. So since the early 90s, we have had 17. There it is. 17 situations. I think it's since 1993 or 1994 when this started. We've had 17 games that have featured a road team that played on a Sunday and then played a road game on a Thursday, right? You're asking, why are you mentioning the Thursday or the Sunday game? Because no buys, right? No buys. Short turnaround is the focus here. So 17 games since the early 90s in which A, the road team played on Sunday. B, the road team was traveling to play on Thursday night. C, that travel distance was 1,500 or more miles. And D, or 4, whatever works better for your brain, that distance was across 2 time zones. So it wasn't just north to south, like Minnesota to Houston. You were moving across time zones to throw the body clocks off. Essentially, it's a trend that focuses on how difficult it can be to win in this situation, right? Long travel, body clocks off, road game, off Sunday night, all that stuff. In the 17 situations in which that has occurred since the early 90s, the road team is 3-14 straight up, 4-12-1 against the spread. This used to be a lock smash where only one team had ever overcome it. It was like 2011, I want to say, when Jim Harbaugh's Niners went to St. Louis to beat the Rams on a Thursday night. I remember that game specifically because I was in Toronto that night getting ready for a conference that weekend. Toronto was awesome, by the way. Only time I'd ever been there. So that was the only winner until previously. Bookmakers have caught up to this. We didn't have this situation at all in 2019. We had 3 of these games in 2018. The Vikings were at the Rams on a night game. Vikings lost, but pushed on the spread, I believe, because there is a push in here, right? Yeah, but pushed on the spread. The Seahawks were in Green Bay. They lost, but I think covered on the spread. And then we had the Chargers travel to the Chiefs and win the game outright as like 10 or 12-point underdogs, if you remember that game. Huge deficit, and Rivers led them all the way back in the fourth quarter. We've had no situations where this occurred in 2019. We had one this year when Denver went to the Jets, and Denver won that game outright. So it hasn't been as good in recent years, just to be honest. So 3-14 straight up, 4-12-1 against the spread, hence the mother of all spots. It's been very good to us, but not as of late. So what do we do tonight? I don't bet it blindly. I wanted to bet it blindly with the Niners, but I can't bet it blindly. Look, that trend is fantastic, but I mean, this Niner team, the entire receiving unit's out. It's a backup quarterback. It's third string running backs and beyond. The best offensive lineman's out. Multiple key players on defense are out. They just traded away Quan Alexander. That's not even a story right now because of everything that's going on with them. So I'll tell you this. If I was playing a side, I'd play the Niners plus the 7. I really would. I don't know why, but I would take them plus 7, but I'm not playing it with Green Bay. The side is a stay away, which leads me to pick number 1. It's the under 48.5. I liked this a hell of a lot more yesterday when it was higher, but it has since come down because a lot of people are probably thinking the same thing. So here's the play tonight in terms of how this game will play out. I see it going one of two ways. Either the Packers jump all over the Niners and then grind out the clock, and that's that, maybe 30-10, something like that. Or the Niners succeed in what they want to do, and that's going to be running the ball, which Kyle Shanahan loves to do, against the defense that struggles to run, and they'll be able to grind the clock, keep themselves in it, keep Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines. And that's one of the options as well. That's why I can't play the Packers or the Niners, but that's why I'm playing the under. Either the Packers get up big and then coast, or Shanahan tries to go after Green Bay the way we've seen lots of teams do it in recent weeks. Houston can't run the ball. Houston just sucks all the way around. But let's go back to that Tampa Bay game against the Packers when Aaron Rodgers got no help whatsoever. Tampa was able to run the ball in that game once they got that lead, keep them up the side of the long, keep them up the side of the field. And then in the Viking game last week, which we talked about as being a very difficult situation, for some reason I still played Packers on the teaser, which was one of the worst bets of the year. Teased it with Tennessee, who lost outright to the Bengals. That was, I don't even want to talk about that. Dalvin Cook ran the ball 30 times for 163 yards in that game. Minnesota came off the bye. They knew exactly what they needed to do. They needed to try to keep Rodgers off the field. Rodgers is everything in Green Bay. If Rodgers can't make plays, if Russell Wilson can't make plays, those teams fall apart. And 30 carries, I think it was 163 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground, 1 in the air. Dalvin Cook was incredible. He's absolutely incredible in that game, and that's the recipe. And that's what Shanahan wants to do. That's what he did to this team in the NFC Championship game last year, having a ton of success. He doesn't have nearly the same players, which is why we're not betting the Niners, but that's why I'm betting the under. Either the Niners are just a disgrace on offense tonight and the Packers coast in the second half and we stay under, or Niners are able to keep this thing tight, and they do it by running the ball, grinding the clock, and keeping Aaron Rodgers off the field. So bet number 1, under 48.5 points. Bet number 2, Aaron Rodgers under 285.5 passing yards. So similar thought process, right? Either the Packers get up big in this game and then they coast in the second half and run the ball and grind out the clock, which means Rodgers won't be throwing, or it's a tight game because the Niners are able to keep Rodgers off the field. Either way, I don't see him getting the 286 passing yards. Now, this obviously the best way for the Packers to win. If Aaron Jones tonight, maybe they can get the run going a little bit, but ultimately, I don't. The Packers are banged up on the offensive line. They're banged up at depth when it comes to the running back position. They're going to lean on Rodgers. This is probably going to be more of a sweat. This is going to be more of a sweat than I would like it to be. But again, it's either a blowout and they coast, or he's on the sidelines because the Niners are doing what they want to do, and he's not going to have enough opportunities to get to 286. So Rodgers under 285.5 passing yards. Those are the only 2 plays I'm making for tonight's game. I look forward to watching it. I think it has a world of potential to be really good or really bad. Wide spectrum is what we should say. 3 college plays for you will start tonight. Let me make sure the lines are still accurate from when I wrote these up earlier. All right, game number 1 is going to be Colorado State +3 hosting Wyoming. Some of you might be thinking, Jesus Christ, you played Colorado State last Thursday. They got blown out at Fresno State. Why are you doing this to us again? Excellent question. Not a sadist, not a troll, not looking to make you feel bad, looking to make money. And I think there's an opportunity based on what we saw last week. So Colorado State hosting Wyoming tonight, right? Let's work through what we've seen so far this season. Wyoming hammered Hawaii last week. Hawaii hammered Fresno State 2 weeks ago. Fresno State hammered Colorado State last week. So does that mean Wyoming hammers Colorado State, right? Wyoming hammers Hawaii. Hawaii hammers Fresno. Fresno hammers Colorado State. Should just make perfect sense, right? That Wyoming rolls them. It's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. I just find it funny that it sets up like that. Wyoming is coached by one of my favorite people in college football. His name's Craig Bohl. He took over in 2014 from, I think it was North Dakota State. He was running that juggernaut program up there, winning national championships left and right. Took a step up, went to Wyoming. Beautiful state, by the way. Incredible state. What is it? 5th largest in terms of mass, 50th out of 50 states in terms of people per capita. Like there's that few people in Wyoming based on all that space. It's a beautiful state. Bohl in Wyoming, since he's gotten there, they are not good on the road. They have always struggled on the road. They have a nice home field advantage in Wyoming, tough spot to travel to, but ultimately, when they go on the road, they become a different football team. And right now, I think they're sitting at 1-1. They lost on the road, I want to say, to Nevada in week 1, and then they came back to really get after Hawaii. And we saw Colorado State look like crap at Fresno last week. So now all of a sudden, Wyoming, who's not good on the road in general, is going to lay points on the road. I want to put this in perspective. Since Bohl took over in Wyoming, 9-27 on the road, 18-18 against the spread. So you say to yourself, all right, 18-18 against the spread, that's not bad. They're almost always an underdog. Almost always. They're laying 3 at Colorado State in this game. Laying 3 on the road. I like the program, but to lay 3, I think it's too much of an overreaction to what we saw in one game last week for Colorado State. Colorado State, the Rams are the play +3. That's where we're going there. I like Wyoming. Game number 4, we go to Saturday. If we had done this stream an hour ago, you would have gotten +7. The market got hit. It's now +6.5. Iowa hosting Michigan State. This is just a classic spot play here. So Iowa stinks. They're 0-2. They lost to Northwestern last week. And then in week 1, I think they lost to Purdue, I want to say. It may have been someone else. It wasn't anyone glorious. So they're sitting at 0-2. Terrible season. Michigan State had that dud against Rutgers and then came back as 22-point underdogs to upset Michigan. Huge win for Michigan State, right? So Sparty's partying. They're partying. They're loving life. They just took down Jim Harbaugh. They took down Michigan. Huge game early in the season. They get the win. Have a great week. Iowa's 0-2. Who gives a crap? Iowa's the play. That's how college football works so often. Either you're coming off a great game or you're going into a great game and you just get someone in there that doesn't really matter all that much, that doesn't take up enough of your attention, and boom, that's where a guy like Kirk Ferentz gets you. And that's why we're going to play Iowa. Love the spot there. 7 was available. It's gone. It got hit. I'm not the only one who likes this play. It got hit. Iowa +6.5. So that's number 4. Final one, biggest game. I am going to lay the 5 with Clemson against Notre Dame. So people will give you the stat. Brian Kelly at Notre Dame hasn't done a very good job of covering in big games like this. I think he's like 0-10 against top 10 team, whatever it may be. I'm not focusing on that. I think Kelly's done a great job at Notre Dame. He doesn't have the same flexibility, shall we say, that a lot of other head coaches get at their programs with the players they can bring in. You know, there's some hurdles at Notre Dame. There's some academic hurdles. That's fine. That's fine. Not everyone can win the national championship every year. This team competes. People forget how messy Notre Dame was for a long time before Kelly came in and stabilized the program. So I think he's done a nice job. I think the value here is what we saw last week from Clemson in the Boston College game. So Trevor Lawrence gets ruled out due to COVID. DJ Uiagalelei, I'm pretty sure that's close. DJ Uiagalelei, highly touted recruit, steps in at quarterback. Clemson falls behind early. They make some big mistakes. They're losing at home to Boston College. They have to rally, come back. They end up winning the game. I think people see that and think this team isn't very good. They almost lost to BC. Notre Dame's going to get them. This is Brian Kelly's year. No Trevor Lawrence. Narrative. Here comes Clemson to win the game. I think there's value. That's what I'm thinking. I think there's value. I like the fact that Clemson didn't look good last week because I wanted to be able to jump on this. Let's workshop this thing, right? So everyone looks at that Boston College game and it's like, man, you know, the quarterback didn't look like Trevor Lawrence. They didn't look that great. They guys, like there's a lot of value in that game and having to see what you're made of, not packing it in, coming back, making enough plays to claw back into that game and win. If you're a freshman quarterback who that's the first time you've ever made a start, that's what you had to do. I don't care if it's Boston College or UMass or Notre Dame or Washington or Alabama. That's big. That's a big test for you and your character because now you got those early reps out of the way. Now the nerves of like whether or not you belong in college football and all that crap, that stuff's gone, man. Now you just go out and make plays. And he'll be nervous this week a little bit with Notre Dame, but he's got those reps under his belt. And if he falls behind, there's not going to be a panic situation because if you're Dabo, you pull him to the side and you say, we went through this last week. Just stay calm. Ian Book for Notre Dame's completing like 62% of his passes. That passing offense isn't all that great. They aren't very good throwing the ball down the field, which means the Clemson defense can creep up. I'm laying 5 with the Tigers. And I think both these teams make the playoff. Because if Notre Dame wins here, they probably run the table and they're getting in. And if Notre Dame and Clemson with that loss, you can blame it on Dabo and still, or you can blame it on the Lawrence COVID situation and then come back and say, well, yeah, with Lawrence, they would have won. They're still a great team. Let's put them in the playoff. And I think if Clemson wins here and goes undefeated, they're in. And I think if Notre Dame's sitting around with one loss to Clemson and that's it, there's a good case to get them in because they're going to play a long schedule. They're going to have a lot of games, and they're Notre Dame. Good for TV, good for ratings, good for money. Wouldn't surprise me at all. I'll tell you right now. Bama, Ohio State, in no particular order, Bama, Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame. People keep telling me about Georgia. Georgia already lost to Bama. If Georgia gets to the SEC championship game, they got to beat Florida this weekend. Let's assume they win out and they get to the championship game, and then they lose to Alabama. That's 2 losses. And you've lost to Bama twice. Or they don't get to the playoff and lose that second time because they're going to lose to Florida this weekend, something like that. I don't see Georgia getting there. A&M's got some potential. I don't think the Pac-12 is going to make enough noise. They'll probably beat up on each other. Might have 1 5-1 team. No one's going to care. Big 12 has screwed the whole thing up. Texas beats Oklahoma State last week. It never ends with them. So that's the prediction for the rankings or for the playoff. To recap the picks and a reminder, we're back on Sunday morning. That'll be the next time we do the stream. It'll be 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. We do the full NFL card. And then later that afternoon, when the last NFL afternoon game concludes, we jump on to do Sunday Night Football, which this week is Saints-Bucs. Good one. So under 48.5 in the Niner game. Aaron Rodgers under 285.5 passing yards. Colorado State +3. That's tonight. They're at home over Wyoming. And then on Saturday, Iowa +6.5 over Michigan State. And Clemson -5 over Notre Dame. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful week. Grind out these final few days. Stay calm in the face of all the adversity out there with the election stuff. Feel free to laugh at it every now and again, no matter what side you're on. People get very worked up about this. Watch it, maybe try to get a laugh out of it, but there's nothing you can do. You can't go change any of these results or anything that's going on. So don't let it bother you. Try to stay calm. Control the controllable. All right. Zen message for today. I'll see you Sunday. Thanks for coming.